committee and have been for the last 3 years, and I am also was formerly the Virginia State Bar president. More fool me, I'm not sure that gives me bona fides, or you're just going to say, why would I listen to this woman? Could go either way. But we have a good time doing what we do, and Chris is also the co-chair of VSB Tech Show this year, which I certainly would encourage you all to attend next April. So our vice chair, I guess it is, but that's all right. So when we did this presentation, or a variation of it, for the annual meeting down in Virginia Beach in June, and so it's been somewhat updated and changed, and Chris has done some of his own research for the committee, which he is bringing to us.
So let's start off as to where the future of law is going, right? And this up here is a real religious battle, right? The alternative business structures. And we're going to show you a chart next, but there was a presentation done by the head of legal ops from Walmart in June of 2017. And one of the attendees took a snapshot, which was probably copyrighted, but anyway. And this is the slide that was showing there, but it kind of shows you the trend and what's happened within the legal profession. If you look in the past, right, you have a lot of the in-house counsel and outside counsel was doing a lot of work, right? So not so much inside, they're basically outsourcing legal services. Today, though, there's kind of a shift, and you begin to see legal service providers. So these are the folks who are going to talk a little bit more about those folks. But in the future, what's projected is that legal service providers are going to take a lot more work. You're going to have a lot less than going on with attorneys, right? Whether it's in-house or outside counsel there. So that's the message here, and what's happening within the legal landscape.
And so now we're going to turn it over to Chris for a while, because he is going to cover the access to justice part of this, so that you've got a long run here.
I got a long run? Oh, good. Fantastic. Well, as you see right here, we have a little protest going on, but yeah, access to justice. You all know that it is a big problem. It is a problem that is so large that we apparently have one person at the Virginia State Bar who works specifically on this problem alone. We talk a lot about the justice gap, so why don't we show what the justice gap looks like? So we have these three bars here. I know the slide's not the clearest, but I'll explain it to you. Imagine the bars. This is 1994 at the top, 1991 in the middle, and 2007 on the bottom. Imagine the entire bar as anyone and everyone who has a legal problem. That's the general market. That's anyone and everyone. So on the blue, on the far right, that's the part that the attorneys, meaning all of us, and all of our friends, colleagues, neighbors, whatever, that's what they take. This is what we take care of. Everything on the left, the maroon side, is what we don't touch. Meaning that, if you want me to put it in raw numbers, we as attorneys care from anywhere, I've seen the number as low as 15%, and I've seen it as high as 22, 23%. Conversely, that means 77 to 85% of people with legal needs do not have them fulfilled through an attorney. So, we kind of have a small problem. Shall we go on to the next one? We all talk about there are too many lawyers out there, oh goodness, we can't have jobs, and so on and so forth, but this shows the problem in a completely different way. And hopefully I'll show you that there aren't too many lawyers out there, but right now, the way we do things is not quite adjusted right. This little nub right here at the far bottom is population per Virginia attorney. So that would be one person per 348 people. That's for the overall population. So then we translate it all to those who are under the poverty line, etc. That is one attorney serving the poor for 7,137 people. I don't know about you, but 7,137 people, you would be 125 by the time you finish the cases of 7,137 people. I'm just making that number up, but yeah, it's going to take you a very long time to deal with that. Shall we go on? Another issue that we have, well, you're saying, why don't these 85% of people show up? Well, lack of income is one problem. We have people like the, I don't know the specific numbers for the line to qualify for legal services. It's defined by the Legal Services Corporation. as they provide these grants to your local pro bono agencies. And that number is really low. That number would be, I think, is it 4 times the poverty line, somewhere around there? But it's not a high number, meaning that most folks are not going to qualify for legal aid. So we have this group, I don't know if how many people have heard the term low bono? A few people. For those of you that haven't, that's serving that crowd that does not qualify for pro bono, but they don't really have a lot of resources or money to pay for an attorney. So there are similar low bono programs out there that are serving people around the country. And kind of one thing that we've heard in future of legal services, feel free to chime in if you see something that you like. We talked about nonprofit law firms, and these firms are essentially owned by themselves. The firm owns it, there's a board and everything, so there's no partners per se. There are attorneys who work there. And some of these folks don't take money from the Legal Services Corporation, meaning they can charge whatever they want, they can serve whoever they want. And they have a sliding scale. And so, for example, if your income and resources total $47,000, you may be charged $80 per hour. Going all the way up to $125,000 of worth of income, you may be paying $120 to $150 an hour. And, which, frankly, $150,000 in resources or in income does cover most of the population. So there is that nice little aspect about it. It's an emerging concept, and it's growing, but it's definitely worth exploring if you're interested in that. So that's one side. But the other thing too is we're rather intimidating people. I look at all of you, you seem nice to me, you're all likable, you all have great dedication in customer service. I could probably talk to you about anything, to be frank with you. But to somebody who is not dealt with lawyers, not dealt with professionals, which is a lot of this country, we are intimidating. We are big. We are scary. We are super smart. Artificial intelligence may be replacing us on the intimidation factor, but let's face it, everybody sees a lawyer, they stand up a little bit straighter, they try to take all the slang out, they try to impress us. So we are slightly intimidating that way. Courts are intimidating places to be, especially if you're just one of these people who are living just their daily lives, trying to go about it. You know, they try to solve their conflicts by going up to somebody and solving them. You know, courts with motions, objections, yelling, all these words that nobody knows. That's intimidating. And of course, opponents. The idiot in town, or the person who is just there to make your life terrible. That's also intimidating too. That's another aspect. We also have another significant problem where people don't know that they need a lawyer for an issue. For example, if they are falling behind on rent, they're dealing with their families a lot, and their families may see them as having a moral issue. You're not paying the bills, you're living beyond your means. So all you have to do to solve this is cut your expenses and, pay your creditors, be moral. Well, if you're behind on your rent, there is a legal issue going on too. So many times you don't see that. And that can also be the fact that they do not see lawyers around. That's not a problem here, considering that everybody you trip over in this town is a lawyer.
Or a politician.
Or a politician, thank you, which in many instances is a lawyer. So, we're all around everywhere. But you go out, and it's not a problem in Virginia because there are counties. The county lines change every 20 to 30 miles. So there's a courthouse practically every 20 to 30 miles in Virginia. If we go out to places like South Dakota, or if we go to Maine, I'll speak to Maine as an example, considering my family's from there. I once saw a job opening in a town called Patten, Maine. Patten is not on the coast. Patton is about an hour and a half north of Bangor, off of Interstate 95, and then around the corner of Route 11. First time I ever went through Patton, I saw Amish buggies. I will tell you there are 25 times more Amish buggies in Patton than there are lawyers. There's one lawyer in town. And he is the only lawyer between the courthouse in Bangor, an hour and a half south, and the courthouse in Holton, which is about 45 minutes east. And so there, of course, there are other towns up and down the way, and Holton is the courthouse seat for Aroostook County. Aroostook County is larger in land size than the states of Rhode Island and Connecticut combined. And that is where my family is from. So if you have a problem and you have to go to court, they do have divisions where they go into a couple of these towns, but still you're traveling 30 to 40 miles to see a lawyer or to go to court, or there's usually a single lawyer in a particular town. So that's also playing into our problem. So this is another way you may say, all right, Chris, how does this stuff get met? Well, I'm going to point this right here. This one is us. This one is kind of us. So 15% is help from an attorney. 7% is help from both, meaning family and friends and an attorney. Hopefully one of those family and friends is an attorney, but probably not. We have a huge portion here that are doing self-help. And then we have this 16%, which I like to call pray the problem away, or do nothing. And if any of you know any of these areas out west or up north or down south, pray the problem away is exactly how it gets done. As you see here, the Legal Services Corporation, that funding has been going down. It was at its apex before many of us were born. It kind of stayed level, and then it just crashed as many of us were coming of age. You all know what IELTS accounts are. I know many of you don't deal with it. Interest on lawyer trust accounts. That's also been going down. Of course, this is a bunch of Western countries with the rule of law index, the access to justice. Does anyone want to guess which one we are?
Not close to the top.
We're the red one, exactly. Yes, so we're pretty far back there. We're pretty far back there, and I can't decipher who is number one, but I would guess that would be Denmark or Sweden or
One of
Norway.
the truly civilized countries.
Yes, so sure, absolutely.
Feel like you're Swedish.
So, as part of one of these duties that Carl, our person at the Virginia State Bar for a couple more months, gets to do is to track how much pro bono service is being done by Virginia attorneys. We had no way to measure this before. We considered a voluntary voluntary reporting requirement.
Actually, we considered it mandatory, and the Supreme
yes.
Court of Virginia just nixed it.
Okay, so that's not going to be happening. But the voluntary reporting, basically, he just took it under the aspiration of 2% of a lawyer's time. We should have over 900,000 hours. The actual reported hours is less than 10% of that, 80,000 hours of pro bono done in the state of Virginia. That we know. Now, that probably is more, but I don't think it's anywhere close to that.
And you can give money, and for many years I have worked for the Fairfax Law Foundation. John is on the board of the Virginia Law Foundation, and we have given considerable time and money to fund pro bono, and you can do that instead of the actual pro bono work. And since my gift is raising money, it seemed to me that was the place I needed to be, because there was no way personally I could give the kind of money I could raise. So that was my kind of decision.
Yes. We do have a lot of programs that address the justice gap, and there are ways for you to get involved if you would like to join one of those. There are lots of legal aid grantees. I know particularly in Virginia, each region has a legal aid. If you're in Northern Virginia, that is legal service with Fairfax, with offices all over Fairfax County, Alexandria, Arlington, and Prince William. We may have more. But if you're further downstate, there is a legal services organization representing you. They have stuff with consumer law, housing, pretty much anything and everything that ails a claimant in poverty. Not a claimant, a client, sorry. My social security stuff is getting on me, and I should say, while I'm at it, that my remarks are my own and not those of the Social Security Administration. Maybe you federal government folks find that funny, but I had to say that. Why don't we go on back just a little bit? Oh, sure. Sorry about that. There are ways that you can volunteer. Local bars usually have pro bono think tanks to think up of new ideas to serve pro bono. And let's see, young lawyers, I can only talk to the VSP side since I'm only the president of the VSP side. But essentially what we're doing, we have many great projects such as Wills for Heroes, our Immigration Outreach Committee. We work with Hogar Immigrant Services, with Catholic Charities of Northern Virginia, or the Arlington Diocese, sorry about that. But they do naturalization clinics where no experience needed, they'll train you. You go and you review an immigrant's application for citizenship. If there are any problems, you flag them and you send them to the actual staff. I'll go on to the next one. One of the ideas that I'm going to be implementing over the next year through young lawyers, hopefully we can get this through to lawyer referral, is the legal checkup. It's essentially like going to the doctor and getting your annual checkup on all your physical needs. This is basically for all the legal needs. Do it online. Questions are simple, such as do you have stable housing? And it points you to relevant resources at the end of the questionnaire. You're able to write down and explain things so that when you do go to a lawyer, you're able to articulate the problem and basically provide the information that the lawyer needs so that you can have a more productive meeting when you do meet them. And if you wanted to see an example of a lawyer checkup, we got one right here, veteranslegalcheckup.com. That's one done by the ADA, released about 3 or 4 months ago. But basically, as you see right here, it asks simple questions. It defines what stable housing is in simple language. This is for veterans. If you want to see something that's more general public, legalhealthcheckup.ca, Houston Legal Services, and just outside of Toronto, put together this checkup. People fill it out online, and they basically see if they need a lawyer. They go to a lawyer if they need one. The program has expanded to about 9 neighboring municipalities. It's a great way to go in and get stuff done. I'm going to discuss free legal answers. You can register. That's where you register. Somebody asks a question. You check out the question. You provide the answer. And then you check out the question. So it's not 2 people answering a particular question. 40 states over, including us, have signed up for the project. One way, if you wanted to help with hurricane relief, you can go to texas.freelegalanswers.org. They have a lot of questions that are going to come up, and you can help through that avenue too. So shall we talk about programs addressing the gap? The one that I know the most about is the Washington State Limited Licensed Legal Technician Program. Basically, it's essentially a paralegal. It's like what you have a nurse practitioner do in a doctor's office. They do almost everything that a doctor does. Of course, they're supervised under the doctor. The limited licensed legal technician can do things such as preparing the will, preparing any other legal instruments, and essentially taking care of clients' needs through basically a specific way. It's very specific to a certain practice area. These are licensed through the Washington Supreme Court, and I believe the Washington State Bar too.
There's not very many of them. So it has not really gotten traction yet.
It's family law, right? That's all they're concentrating on.
Why hasn't it gotten traction yet?
That's
Seems
a very
like
good,
fantastic
very good
idea.
question. And it doesn't seem as though a lot of people are attracted to the notion. Maybe they don't want to be pioneers. But the last time I looked, there were literally 7.
Is there pushback from the bar because it could be threatening, or?
No, the bar has very much endorsed it, so the bar has been supportive, but people don't seem to be gravitating that way. Maybe they really want to be lawyers rather than, you know, the limited licensing. I don't know that that's been inquired into, though.
Yeah, and when I was out in Portland, Oregon a few years ago, I actually did hear from one of the Supreme Court justices out there, and the feedback was very positive about it, but that was 3 years ago. So the concept's great, it's just, how should I say, talk traction. And of course, the private sector. They see that 85% gap and they see a business opportunity. Therefore, we have AVO, we have LegalZoom. They're around. They're here to...
We'll talk a little bit more.
Yes, we'll talk about that later. I discussed a while ago nonprofit law firms. We have, if you want to see 2 examples, Open Legal Services in Salt Lake City. We actually got to hear from Chantel in one of our future legal practice meetings. But if you want to see someone a little more local, Devin Slovensky of the Virginia Nonprofit Law Center in Roanoke. She started that not too long ago, but we're watching her concept. So.
Thank you. The